First contact catastrophe. The UES Guardian Horizon cut through the darkness of space like a predator, its sleek obsidian hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Captain Ilara Chen stood on the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back as she studied the holographic display floating before her. The ship represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, a vessel that had cost more than the GDP of several nations combined and incorporated technology that even most of the crew didn't fully understand. Status report, Chen said, her voice calm but authoritative. Commander Ramirez, her XO, looked up from his station. All systems nominal, Captain. We're approaching the outer boundary of the Kuiper Belt. Long-range sensors are clear. Chen nodded. The Guardian Horizon was on its maiden voyage, a shakedown cruise to test its systems far from prying eyes. With tensions rising between Earth's united government and the colonies on Mars, a show of force had been deemed necessary. The Guardian was that show of force, though few knew exactly what it was capable of. Dr. Novak, how's our special cargo? Chen asked, turning to the civilian scientist who'd been assigned to the mission. The wiry man adjusted his glasses nervously. The Atlas system is stable, Captain. Neural connections are maintaining at optimal levels, though I still have reservations about. Your reservations are noted, Doctor. Chen cut him off. They'd had this conversation before. Atlas, Advanced Tactical Learning Augmentation System, was the heart of what made the Guardian special. A neural interface unlike anything developed before, designed to create a symbiotic relationship between ship and crew. It remained largely untested outside of simulations. Captain, Lieutenant Park called from the sensor station, her voice suddenly tense. I'm picking up an anomaly at bearing 047 mark 193. I've never seen readings like this. Chen moved to look over Park's shoulder. The display showed a distortion in space, a rippling effect that seemed to bend light around it. Possible causes? Chen asked. Park shook her head. Unknown, Captain. It's not consistent with any known natural phenomenon. Energy readings are off the charts. Raise shields. Defensive posture, Chen ordered. Alert status yellow. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. Whatever was happening, the Guardian Horizon was the most advanced ship in Earth's fleet. They could handle it. They were wrong. The distortion expanded suddenly, tearing open like a wound in the fabric of space itself. From within emerged a vessel of impossible proportions. It dwarfed the Guardian by a factor of 10, its surface covered in what looked like overlapping scales of some dark metal. My God, Ramirez whispered. Open communications on all frequencies, Chen ordered. Standard first contact protocols. Communications Officer Taylor worked his console. Broadcasting, Captain. Chen straightened her uniform. This is Captain Ilara Chen of the United Earth Ship Guardian Horizon. We come in peace and wish to establish dialogue. For several tense moments, there was only silence. Then the alien vessel pulsed with energy, patterns of light racing across its hull. We're receiving a response, Taylor said. I can't make sense of it. The computer's trying to translate. The main view screen flickered, and an image appeared. The being that filled the screen was nothing like human. Multiple compound eyes arranged around what might have been a head. A body structure that seemed to defy conventional biology. The computer-generated voice that emerged from the speakers was flat, emotionless. You are trespassers. This system is now claimed by the Voidborn. Your technological level has been assessed and found inadequate. You will be removed. Before Chen could respond, the alien vessel's scales shifted, revealing what could only be weapons ports. Evasive maneuvers. Chen shouted, but it was too late. The energy beam that struck the Guardian Horizon was beyond anything Earth scientists had theorized possible. The ship's advanced shields, designed to withstand the most powerful weapons in humanity's arsenal, flared bright blue for a split second before collapsing entirely. The impact threw the crew against their stations, Emergency lighting kicked in as primary systems failed. "Damage report," Chen demanded, pulling herself back to her feet. "Shields are down," Ramirez reported, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. "Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Weapons systems at 30% capacity." "Return fire," Chen ordered. "All available weapons." The Guardian's advanced particle cannons lashed out, striking the alien vessel. The beams barely scorched its scaled surface. "No significant damage to the target," Ramirez reported grimly. The alien vessel fired again. This time, the beam struck the Guardian's propulsion systems. The ship shuddered violently. "Engine core destabilizing," Chief Engineer Kowalski reported over the comm. "We're looking at a cascade failure if we don't shut it down." Chen's mind raced. Their most advanced warship was being swatted aside like an insect. "Send distress signal to Earth Command. Priority Alpha." "Communications array damage," Taylor responded. "We can't get a signal through." The alien vessel was positioning for another strike, one that would likely finish them off. Chen looked around at her crew. The best and brightest Earth had to offer. She would not let them die without a fight. "Dr. Novak," she said, turning to the scientist who was gripping his console with white knuckles. "Activate ATLAS. Full integration." Novak's eyes widened. "Captain, it's not ready. The system was never meant to be activated outside controlled conditions." The neural load cold. "That's an order, Doctor. We're out of options." Novak hesitated for only a moment before entering a complex sequence into his terminal. ATLAS activating. Neural interfaces initializing. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then Chen felt it. A strange tingling at the base of her skull that quickly spread throughout her entire nervous system. Around the bridge, the crew stiffened as the sensation reached them as well. The ship's lighting dimmed momentarily, then came back brighter than before. A new voice, neither male nor female, spoke from all around them. ATLAS system online. Neural integration in progress. Warning. Untested protocol engage. Chen gasped as information flooded her consciousness. Suddenly, she could feel the ship as if it were an extension of her own body. She could sense the damage to its systems, the power fluctuations, the very movement of energy through its conduits. And she wasn't alone. She could feel the presence of her crew, their thoughts touching hers through the ship's neural network. "What's happening?" Ramirez asked, his voice strained. "The interface is working," Novak said, wonder in his voice. "It's creating a collective consciousness between the crew and the ship's systems." Through their new shared awareness, Chen understood what needed to be done. She didn't need to give verbal orders. Her intention flowed directly into the ship's systems, amplified by the focused thoughts of her crew. The Guardian Horizon moved with impossible speed and precision, evading the alien vessel's next attack. Systems that had been damaged began to reconfigure themselves, adapting to new purposes as the collective mind of the crew directed the ship's nanite repair systems. "This is impossible," Novak whispered, but he too was part of the link now. The alien vessel fired again, but this time the Guardian was ready. Its damaged shields reconfigured into a new pattern, one that the ATLAS system had calculated would be more effective against the enemy's weapons. The beam struck, and while the impact was still severe, the ship remained functional. "They are surprised," Chen said, somehow knowing the alien vessel's reaction. "They didn't expect us to adapt." Through their shared consciousness, the crew worked as one. Engineer Kowalski mentally redirected power through secondary systems to restore weapons capability. Tactical Officer Vega identified potential weaknesses in the alien vessel's design through enhanced sensor analysis. The Guardian Horizon's weapons fired again, but this time they weren't the same weapons. The ATLAS system had reconfigured them, adjusting frequencies and power outputs to match the analysis of the alien ship's defenses. This time, the beams penetrated the scaled armor, causing visible damage. The alien vessel shuddered and began to pull back. "Don't let them escape," Chen thought, and the ship responded, pushing its engines beyond their designed limits to pursue. But the alien technology was still superior. The vessel reopened the spatial distortion through which it had arrived and retreated inside. Before it vanished completely, it transmitted once more. "You are not what you appear to be. The Voidborn will return. All of you will be removed." Then it was gone, the distortion closing behind it. Slowly, the neural link between the crew began to fade, returning them to their individual consciousness. Chen staggered as the connection withdrew, feeling suddenly isolated in her own mind. "Status report," she managed to say aloud, her voice hoarse. "Ship damage extensive but repairable." Atlas responded, its voice now emanating only from the ship's communication system. "Neural interface successfully initiated. Adaptation protocols operational." Chen looked around at her crew, seeing the same stunned expression on every face. "What just happened?" Ramirez asked. Dr. Novak was staring at his console in disbelief. The Atlas system, it wasn't supposed to be capable of this level of integration. It merged our consciousness with the ship's AI and adaptive systems. We became the ship, and the ship became us. And it saved our lives, Chen said. "But according to our visitor, we're facing an invasion." She straightened her uniform, decision made. "We need to get back to Earth. They have to be warned." "Engine systems damage," Atlas reported. "Estimated repair time, 72 hours. "Unacceptable," Chen replied. "We need alternative solutions." Through the remnants of the neural link, she felt a suggestion from the ship's systems. It was risky, experimental, another untested capability of the Guardian Horizon. "Dr. Novak, is the ship suggesting what I think it is?" The scientist nodded slowly. "The dimensional fold drive. It was theoretical, installed as a prototype, but never meant to be activated." He hesitated. "If it works, we could be back at Earth in minutes instead of weeks. And if it doesn't work?" Novak's expression was grim. "We could be scattered across dimensions as subatomic particles." Chen considered their options. Earth needed to be warned. The entire human race was at risk. "Prepare the dimensional fold drive," she ordered. "We're going home." As the crew rushed to comply, Chen stared at the empty space where the alien vessel had disappeared. Humanity had just made first contact, and it had gone catastrophically wrong. But they had also discovered something unexpected: the true potential of the Guardian Horizon and its Atlas system. Whether it would be enough to save Earth from what was coming remained to be seen. The adaptive edge. Light shattered and reformed around the UES Guardian Horizon as it tore through the fabric of space-time. Inside the bridge, warning klaxons blared as the experimental dimensional fold drive pushed far beyond its theoretical limits. Captain Chen gripped her command chair, her knuckles white, while the ship violently shuddered. "Structural integrity at 19%. Atlas announced, its synthetic voice somehow maintaining calm amidst chaos. "Dimensional cohesion failing." Dr. Novak worked frantically at his console, sweat pouring down his face. "The fold is collapsing. We're being pulled apart at the quantum level." Chen closed her eyes, feeling the remnants of the neural link that had saved them during the alien encounter. Without conscious thought, she reached for it, extending her mind toward the ship's systems. "Captain, what are you doing?" Ramirez asked, but his voice seemed distant. Chen didn't answer. She was focusing inward, seeking that connection, that impossible merger of human consciousness and artificial intelligence. Around her, the bridge crew watched in amazement as the neural interface nodes embedded in the ceiling began to glow with blue light. "Neural interface reactivating," Atlas announced. "Caution, protocol unstable." The tingling sensation returned to Chen's skull, spreading throughout her body. This time, she embraced it, directing her thoughts toward the failing drive systems. Through the connection, she could visualize the dimensional fold as a tunnel of light collapsing around them. She understood, somehow, exactly what was needed. "Everyone," she managed to say through gritted teeth, "focus on home. On Earth. Picture it clearly." The crew exchanged uncertain glances, but one by one they closed their eyes, concentrating as the neural interface enveloped them all. Together, their combined consciousness flowed through the ship's systems, stabilizing the collapsing dimensional tunnel. "It's working," Novak whispered in awe as his instruments registered the impossible. "The fold is stabilizing. Dimensional cohesion increasing." The violent shuddering stopped abruptly. Through the main view screen, the crew watched as the chaotic energy surrounding the ship transformed into an ordered tunnel of blue-white light. "Arrival at Earth coordinates in 30 seconds, Atlas reported. Chen felt the neural connection weakening as the immediate crisis passed. She released her grip on her command chair, feeling strangely empty as her consciousness separated from the ship's systems. "What just happened?" Lieutenant Park asked, her voice shaky. Dr. Novak was staring at his readings in disbelief. "The Atlas system. It's not just an interface. It's using our minds to solve problems the AI can't handle alone. Our human intuition combined with computational power." He looked up at Chen. "Captain, this technology is far beyond what was intended." Emerging from dimensional fold, Atlas announced before Chen could respond. The tunnel of light vanished, replaced by the familiar sight of Earth hanging in the blackness of space. Relief washed over the bridge crew at the beautiful blue-green orb of their home planet. The relief was short-lived. "Multiple contacts detected in Earth orbit," Tactical Officer Vega reported. "Defense fleet on high alert. They're targeting us." "Open communications," Chen ordered. "Priority authentication protocols. Channel open." Communications Officer Taylor confirmed. "This is Captain Ilara Chen of the UES Guardian Horizon. Authentication code Tango 57 Echo 9er. We are returning with critical information. Earth faces imminent invasion." There was a moment of tense silence before a response came. "Guardian Horizon. This is Earth Defense Command. Authentication confirmed. You've been gone for only 4 hours. Your mission parameters indicated a 3-week deployment. Explain." Chen exchanged glances with Novak. 4 hours? The dimensional fold must have affected our temporal positioning as well. "Captain," Ramirez interrupted, "we have an opportunity here. If the Voidborn haven't arrived yet, we have time to prepare." Chen nodded. "Earth Defense Command, requesting immediate conference with the Security Council. We have encountered a hostile alien species with technology far beyond our own. They've declared their intention to invade." The response was immediate. "Understood, Guardian Horizon. You are cleared to approach Earth Defense Station Alpha. Security Council representatives are being notified." As the Guardian Horizon moved toward the massive space station orbiting Earth, Chen turned to her crew. "What we accomplished against that alien ship shouldn't have been possible," she said. "The Atlas system has capabilities even its designers didn't anticipate." "Dr. Novak, I need you to explain exactly what happened and what potential it represents." Novak adjusted his glasses. The neural interface was designed to enhance communication between crew members and ship systems. But what we experienced was a true merger of consciousness, human and artificial intelligence working as a single entity. The adaptive capabilities were exponentially enhanced. "Can it be replicated?" Chen asked. "Can we bring other ships and crews to this level?" Novak hesitated. "Theoretically, yes. The Atlas core could serve as a template for other systems. But Captain, the neural load is enormous. Even with our brief connections, I'm detecting subtle changes in our brain chemistry. The long-term effects are unknown." Chen's expression hardened. "We may not have the luxury of caution, Doctor. If the Voidborn return in force, we'll need every advantage we can get." 6 hours later, Chen stood before the Earth Security Council in the cavernous main chamber of Defense Station Alpha. She had just finished presenting their encounter with the alien vessel, including sensor data and the threatening message. "This ship, the Guardian Horizon," General Santos of the United Americas said, "you say it adapted during combat. That's not in any capability briefing I've received. The Atlas system exceeded design parameters, Chen replied carefully. When activated under combat stress, it created a neural network between the crew and the ship's AI. Our collective problem-solving abilities merged with the ship's computational power. Admiral Zhao of the Pan-Asian Alliance leaned forward. And you believe this technology can be replicated? Dr. Novak believes so, yes. With the Guardian Horizon as a template, we could upgrade our existing fleet, not to the same level, but enough to give us a fighting chance. The council members exchanged troubled glances. You're talking about connecting human minds directly to our warships. Councillor Mbeki of the African Union said, the ethical implications alone. With respect, Councillor, Chen interrupted, ethics won't matter if humanity is extinct. The Voidborn stated their intention clearly. We are to be removed. The chamber fell silent. How long would these modifications take? Asked Admiral Zhou finally. Dr. Novak estimates 3 weeks for the first batch of ships, longer for the entire fleet. But every vessel we upgrade increases our chances. General Santos stood. I move that we implement Captain Chen's proposal immediately. Full resources, highest priority. The vote was unanimous, though several council members registered their ethical concerns. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Zhao approached Chen privately. Captain, I've reviewed Dr. Novak's preliminary report on the Atlas system. He mentions unexplored capabilities that weren't activated during your encounter. What aren't you telling us? Chen met the Admiral's gaze steadily. The Guardian Horizon was designed as more than just a warship, Admiral. Some of its systems were theoretical, never intended to be used outside controlled conditions. Such as, the dimensional fold drive was one. There are others. Adaptive weapons platforms, defensive systems that can reconfigure in real time. And, she hesitated, something Dr. Novak calls the Consciousness Expansion Protocol. Zhao's eyes narrowed. Explain. The theory is that with enough minds connected through the neural interface, new possibilities emerge. Shared consciousness on a level that might allow for insights and adaptations beyond what even the ship's designers imagined. That sounds dangerously close to playing God, Captain. Perhaps, Chen agreed. But if the Voidborn return with a full invasion fleet, we may need to. The following weeks were a blur of activity. The Guardian Horizon became the center of Earth's defensive preparations. Dr. Novak and his team worked around the clock, using the ship's Atlas system as a template to create simplified neural interfaces for other vessels. Captain Chen supervised the training of other ship captains and their crews, teaching them how to form the mental connections needed to utilize the new systems. It wasn't the full integration they had experienced that remained unique to the Guardian Horizon, but it was enough to give Earth's fleet new capabilities. Meanwhile, long-range sensors were constantly scanning for any sign of the spatial distortions that would herald the Voidborn's return. 3 weeks into the preparations, Chen sat alone in her quarters aboard the Guardian Horizon, reviewing the latest readiness reports. 28 ships had been upgraded with the new neural interfaces. Hundreds more were in various stages of modification. It wasn't enough. It wouldn't be enough. A soft chime announced a visitor. Enter, Chen called. Dr. Novak stepped inside, looking exhausted. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, and his normally pristine lab coat was wrinkled. You wanted an update on the Consciousness Expansion Protocol, he said without preamble. Chen set aside her tablet. You've made progress. Theoretical progress. Novak sat heavily in the chair opposite her. The Atlas system was designed with certain safeguards, limitations on the depth and extent of neural connection. For good reason. But those limitations can be removed. Novak nodded reluctantly. I've identified the code sequences. They could be altered. He fixed Chen with a troubled gaze. But Captain, we're talking about fundamentally changing the relationship between human and machine. The expanded protocol would allow for complete integration. Hundreds or potentially thousands of minds linked simultaneously through the Atlas core. Would it give us the edge we need? Possibly. The computational and adaptive potential would be extraordinary. But the risks? Novak hesitated, choosing his words carefully. Individual consciousness might be compromised. Personalities could bleed together. And there's no guarantee anyone could be disconnected afterward. Chen was silent for a long moment. Keep it as a last resort, she finally said. Continue with the current modifications. Novak stood to leave, then paused at the door. There's something else. The Guardian sensors detected an anomaly at the edge of the solar system. It was brief, almost imperceptible. Chen's blood ran cold. The Voidborn. Possibly. It had a similar signature to their spatial distortion technology, but much fainter. Almost as if they were testing our detection capabilities. Chen finished. They're coming. Sooner than we expected. Yes, Novak agreed grimly. I estimate we have less than 48 hours. After Novak left, Chen sat motionless, weighing impossible choices. Earth's fleet was far from ready. The modifications were proceeding, but slowly. They needed more time they didn't have. She activated her neural link to the ship, feeling the now familiar connection form between her consciousness and the Atlas system. Atlas, she thought rather than spoke, show me the consciousness expansion protocol. Data flowed into her mind, complex code sequences, theoretical models, risk assessments, and possibilities. Incredible, terrifying possibilities. The decision she was contemplating would cross lines that couldn't be uncrossed. It would forever change what it meant to be human. But as the commander of Earth's most advanced vessel, facing an enemy intent on their extinction, what choice did she have? 24 hours later, the command crews of Earth's 28 upgraded ships gathered in the Guardian Horizon's massive hangar bay. They stood in formation, over 200 officers representing humanity's best chance at survival. Captain Chen stood before them, her uniform pristine, her expression resolute. You all know why you're here, she began, her voice carrying across the silent hangar. Long-range sensors have confirmed it. The Voidborn are coming. A fleet of at least 200 vessels, each as powerful as the one the Guardian Horizon barely survived. Murmurs rippled through the assembled officers. Our current modifications have improved our capabilities, but the reality is stark. We are outmatched. Standard tactics, even with our enhanced neural interfaces, will not be sufficient. She gestured, and behind her, a holographic display activated, showing complex schematics of the Atlas system. What I'm about to propose goes beyond your training, beyond what you were told was possible. Dr. Novak has developed what we call the Consciousness Expansion Protocol. It will allow us to link all our ship's neural interfaces through the Guardian Horizon's Atlas core. Admiral Zhao stepped forward. Captain Chen, you didn't have authorization to pursue this. No, I didn't, Chen agreed calmly. Because if I had asked, you would have refused, and we would have lost Earth. She turned back to the assembled officers. I won't order any of you to participate. The risks are substantial. Your individual consciousness will temporarily merge with the collective. But together, acting as one augmented intelligence, we may discover solutions no single mind could conceive. Silence fell across the hangar. Then Commander Ramirez stepped forward. I volunteer, he said simply. One by one, others joined him. Not all. Some stepped back, fear evident in their expressions. But enough. More than enough. Chen nodded, both pride and sadness in her expression. Return to your ships. When the Voidborn arrive, Atlas will initiate the connection sequence. Together, we will either save Earth or go down fighting. As the officers dispersed, Admiral Zhao approached Chen. I should relieve you of command, he said quietly. Probably, Chen agreed. Will you? Zhao studied her for a long moment. No, God help me, but I think you might be right. He turned to leave, then added, just remember, Captain, whatever we become to win this battle, we still need to be human afterward. Chen watched him go, wondering if his final statement was a hope or a warning. 12 hours later, the wait ended. Space itself seemed to tear open as massive distortions appeared throughout the solar system. The Voidborn had arrived. Humanity's stand. The fleet of Voidborn ships emerged from their spatial distortions like predators, materializing from fog. Their hulls gleamed with an oily iridescence under the distant sun, scale-like segments shifting and realigning as the vessels moved into attack formation. Earth's defenders, positioned in a defensive shell around the planet, looked hopelessly outmatched. Inside the Guardian Horizons bridge, Captain Chen watched the tactical display with outward calm that belied her inner turmoil. The enemy fleet outnumbered them nearly 10-1, and even with the neural interface upgrades, Earth's vessels were technologically inferior. "They're scanning us," Lieutenant Park reported from the sensor station. "Focused beams, probably assessing our defenses." "Let them look," Chen replied. "All ships maintain current positions." "Captain," Dr. Novik's voice came over the comm. "The Atlas Core is prepared for the consciousness expansion protocol. Connection pathways to all participating vessels have been established." Chen took a deep breath. Acknowledged. She opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, this is Captain Chen. Enemy forces will be in weapons range in approximately 15 minutes. When I give the command, all participating crews will activate their neural interfaces simultaneously." Acknowledgements came back from the 23 ships that had volunteered to join the expanded neural network. The remaining 5 upgraded vessels and the conventional fleet would engage using standard tactics. Chen turned to her bridge crew. "This is unlike anything we've experienced before. The connection will be deeper, more complete. Remember your training. Focus on your specific expertise, but don't resist the collective consciousness." "What happens if we do resist?" Ramirez asked quietly. Dr. Novik, who had joined them on the bridge for this critical moment, answered. "Mental feedback. Potentially severe. The protocol is designed to create a single augmented intelligence from our combined minds and the Atlas Core. Fighting it would be like..." He searched for an analogy. "Like one neuron trying to override an entire brain." The minutes ticked by in tense silence. On the main view screen, the Voidborn fleet continued its inexorable approach, now clearly visible even without magnification. "Enemy fleet entering maximum weapons range," Vega announced from tactical. Chen straightened in her command chair. "All participating ships, activate neural interfaces. Initiate consciousness expansion protocol." Around the bridge, crew members closed their eyes as the interface nodes embedded in their neural implants activated. Chen felt the familiar tingling at the base of her skull, but this time it intensified rapidly, becoming a rushing torrent of sensation. Her consciousness expanded outward, touching first her immediate crew, then beyond, to the minds of hundreds of others aboard the participating ships. For a disorienting moment, she was everywhere at once, on 24 bridges, seeing through hundreds of eyes, thinking with hundreds of minds. Then Atlas engaged, its artificial intelligence weaving their scattered consciousnesses into a cohesive whole. Individual identities didn't disappear, but merged into something greater. A collective intelligence with both human intuition and machine precision. Through this expanded awareness, Chen perceived the battlefield in ways impossible for a single mind. She could simultaneously track the movement of every ship, calculate optimal firing solutions, and analyze the Voidborn fleet's formation patterns. And she wasn't alone in this perception. All of them shared it, each contributing their unique skills and knowledge to the whole. "They're firing," came a thought. Chen couldn't tell from whom, nor did it matter. The observation flowed through the collective consciousness, triggering immediate responses. Earth's ships moved with perfect coordination, their movements no longer constrained by verbal orders or reaction times. Energy beams from the Voidborn vessels sliced through space, but most found only empty vacuum as the human ships executed evasive maneuvers with preternatural precision. Where hits did land, damage control teams responded instantly, guided by the collective intelligence's ability to prioritize critical systems and redirect resources. Their weapons, another thought emerged, this one carrying the analytical signature of a senior weapons officer from the cruiser Intrepid. The frequency modulates in a pattern. The collective intelligence seized on this observation, analyzing data from multiple hits across different ships. Yes, there was a pattern, a predictable oscillation in the Voidborn's energy weapons. Through their shared consciousness, engineers across the fleet began reconfiguring shield harmonics to counter it. The Voidborn ships pressed their attack, clearly expecting the same easy victory they'd nearly achieved against the Guardian Horizon in their first encounter. Instead, they found a human fleet that seemed to anticipate their every move, adapting and countering with impossible speed. Within the collective consciousness, Chen sensed surprise from the enemy. It flowed somehow through the quantum field disruptions caused by their weapons fire, an echo of their communications that the expanded intelligence could perceive. They don't understand what's happening, came the thought, tinged with Dr. Novak's analytical perspective. They're used to technological superiority being the decisive factor. Let's show them what else they've underestimated. Chen fought back, her determination resonating through the collective. The human fleet shifted from defensive to offensive maneuvers. No verbal orders were needed. The strategy formed organically within their shared consciousness, each ship moving to precise positions. The Guardian Horizon led a wedge formation that drove toward the center of the Voidborn fleet. Targeting analysis complete, flowed the thought from tactical officers across multiple ships. They had identified a pattern in the scale-like segments of the Voidborn hulls, junction points that showed slightly different energy signatures. Earth's vessels fired simultaneously, their weapons perfectly synchronized to strike these vulnerable points. The effect was devastating. Several Voidborn ships shuddered as their protective scales buckled, exposing underlying systems. Through the collective consciousness, Chen felt a surge of hope. They were hurting the enemy. Against all odds, they were fighting back effectively. But the Voidborn commander was adapting too. The alien fleet began to reorganize, changing their formation to protect the damaged vessels and adjusting their weapons frequencies to counter the human shield modifications. They're learning, came the collective thought. Then Chen felt something new forming within their expanded consciousness, not a strategy or a tactical observation, but something deeper. The Atlas core was processing information at quantum speeds, combining human creativity with computational power in ways never anticipated. Ideas and possibilities unfolded, too complex for any single mind to fully comprehend. But the collective intelligence grasped it, understood what needed to be done. The dimensional fold technology emerged from the shared consciousness, not as a drive system, but as a weapon. Through their neural link with the Guardian Horizon systems, they began reconfiguring the ship's dimensional fold drive. It wasn't designed for this purpose, but with thousands of minds working in perfect synchrony, guided by the Atlas core's quantum processing, they could rewrite its operational parameters. Meanwhile, the battle raged on. Earth's conventional forces had joined the fight, targeting Voidborn vessels weakened by the neural-linked fleet's precision strikes. Casualties mounted on both sides. 3 human destroyers lost, a dozen Voidborn ships crippled or destroyed. But the Voidborn still held the advantage in numbers and raw firepower. Several of Earth's neural-linked vessels had taken heavy damage, their crews maintaining their connection to the collective even as they fought to keep their ships intact. Inside the Guardian Horizon, engineering teams worked with machine-like efficiency, physically reconfiguring systems according to the designs flowing from the collective consciousness. The dimensional fold drive was being transformed into something new, a device that could project localized dimensional distortions as weapons. Fold weapon at 60%, came the thought from the engineering collective. The Voidborn are regrouping, observed the tactical minds. They're forming a concentrated attack pattern. Target: Earth itself. Chen felt cold determination settle over the collective consciousness. They couldn't allow a direct assault on the planet. Too many of the Voidborn weapons could penetrate Earth's atmospheric defenses. We need to draw them away. Chen thought. Present a more immediate threat. Through their shared perception, a plan crystallized. The Guardian Horizon would push forward alone, its newly configured fold weapon targeting the center of the Voidborn formation. The rest of the neural-linked fleet would create a diversion, drawing enemy fire. No one objected, not because they couldn't, but because within the collective consciousness, each understood the necessity. The needs of billions on Earth outweighed individual survival.